that I do is I color code my calendar.
Yeah.
And so, for example, if it's a revenue generating activity, it is green.
Mine is too.
Green is money. Green is money.
Thank you for tuning in to the Sally Allen podcast, where we give voice to stories of resilience. So it's Sally Allen again. Hey, we have a powerful episode for you today. I've invited my friend Monica Coburn. She is the CEO and founder of Nevada Business Advisors. And she has been doing it for quite a while. And she has become so resilient in that space that I had to invite her here so she can talk about it. But also, when my podcast was in infancy stage, we met and I got so much encouragement from her and Power Her Women as networking event. I got so much from them, so much value that they also encouraged me to start here. So, Monica, I want to welcome you to the Sally Allen podcast.
Sally, thank you for having me. I can't believe I'm actually in the chair talking to you. So thank you.
It's been over 2 years since we've been talking about this, and we finally made it happen.
Better late than never.
I believe that. I believe that. Yeah. So Monica, one of the reasons I invited you, your story is so resilient when it comes to your business, Nevada Business Advisors. Tell us what you do.
So, like the name sounds, we're business consultants, we're business advisors. We help small businesses from startup phase to if they're already in business. And we offer a number of different services from financing assistance. They want to get certified as a woman-owned business, minority-owned business, and just helping them navigate their challenges that they may be having in business. So I've got a nameplate actually on my desk that says Chaos Coordinator because that's how I feel sometimes on some days. And as entrepreneurs, a lot of entrepreneurs can relate to that.
Yeah, true. So the resiliency and the process that goes into business, I didn't realize it because I was running my business. I thought you get an LLC and then you run your business. And then I ran into all these problems when it came to taxes and when it came to your operating agreement, those things that I didn't know that you brought to my awareness, all the things that I needed. There's a lot when you start a business, the little things that you don't know that could keep you out of trouble if you start it right.
Right. That's absolutely right. And you don't know what you don't know.
Right. And that was my thing when I started. And it was only, we were talking this year and you were asking me for all those things that I realized I didn't have everything.
Right. Exactly.
So I had to go pull everything and put in applications. So if you're starting a new business right off the bat, I recommend her. You need to talk to her. But I know like anything that we do, there is something that drives us because as a little girl, you never thought, this is what I'll be doing, right? How did you get here to do this? What led you to know this is what I want to do? Because, a lot of times when we start businesses, we're not sure.
Right.
So how did you know?
I feel like my entrepreneurial journey started, I have to rewind the clock a little bit, when I was a young girl. Like I grew up on an island and I was just fascinated by business. And we had small mom and pop businesses. We didn't have the big retailers. We had no traffic lights. I mean, it was really in the country. And I was fascinated by it.
What island?
I'm from Oahu, so I was born and raised on Hawaii.
Okay, yeah.
And so I feel that's where it started. So I really started like my first business when I was 8, selling things door to door. And it just grew from that. And fast forward, worked in corporate America and spent over 20 years of my career in commercial banking and finance. Yeah. So most of my clients were business owners. Okay. And so I would see the struggles, I would hear the challenges, and I was really entrenched, and every business is so different. So let's keep fast forwarding. About 6 years ago, I ended up getting a new boss. And that was a kick in my pants because I always felt I wanted to start my own business. But what keeps us back? It's fear.
It's
fear. And had a great paycheck, great benefits. And I thought, I can't do this. But I felt that was a sign to me. And so May of 2019, I decided to resign from my banking position. I was in senior management at the time to create this vision of Nevada Business Advisors. And the business model was really based on my banking experience.
Interesting.
Because I got to touch and see a lot of different businesses. And so that's how the model was created. So we're focused on Nevada-based businesses, but we do help businesses in other states.
Wow. So I want to go back and unpack what you said, because I know a lot of women who are in the corporate space who wants to start their own business. And there's so many things that hold us back. It's complacency, it's being comfortable, it's having your benefits, having a paycheck come in every 2 weeks,
Yes.
right? The comfortable.
Yes.
What would you say? Like, you just took the plunge. You and I both.
I jumped off the
stepped out.
cliff.
We jumped off a cliff. I did too. I was like, one day I was there, the next day I just jumped off a cliff. But it did took a while, because I knew years before I should be doing this, 3 years before, and something drastic had to happen. So we learned from our experience. Yes. But what are some of the things you would say, man, I wish I had done this before? I know timing is perfect, but even planning for it, what would be some of the advice you would give someone who wants to start their own business?
Yeah, I feel I was fortunate because of my career. You know, I knew about entity documentation. I knew that they need to set up a separate bank account for their business. So I felt I had a really good foundation. But there are a lot of businesses that don't start on that foundation because, again, it goes back to what you said. I didn't know I needed all these things, right? So I would say a couple things. Before you take the plunge, so to speak, test your business idea, test your business model. So do it as a side hustle, right? Do it on the side. See if you have an audience, if you have people interested that would actually buy your product or buy your service. So it's a great way to test the market. Number two, have a reserve. It's going to take capital to start your business. So whether it's bootstrapping, and what that basically means is you're using your own money, right? Or you have friends and family that are willing to invest in you, because one of the worst things you can do is go and taking that plunge full time and not having a security blanket, not having enough capital that you need to run your business. And do your research, do your own market research. And there are resources out there too that can help.
Yeah, I really like that, and it really resonates with me, especially doing it as a side hustle, because it was like more than 9 years ago when I started my career journey. A lot of people think I started 4 years ago when I quit corporate America, but it wasn't. It was 9 years ago. I wish I knew you back then, because because I went through some growing pains. But it's what I did. I started doing it. And would you advise, like, it's okay to give away some service for free so you're building your brand, but people already also know what you're doing?
Absolutely. I mean, even if you're a product-based business, give away samples. Let people try them, see how they like it. Same for services. Again, you're just testing to see if it's something that can actually take off. But be careful, because once you get the interest and the traction, start charging for your services, start charging for your products, because there's a cost to it.
Right, right. So I'm glad you said that, because that was ringing in my head, that one of the things we have a hard time doing is charging our worth. And did you struggle with that, and how did you overcome that?
Great question. It's a common challenge, especially for women-owned businesses, right?
Yeah.
So how did I come up with the pricing? I did my research. I looked to see what other types of business advisory firms were out there, what kind of services were they offering, what were they charging. And so from there, I knew, okay, I'm a new business. I'm not going to charge them what they're charging, but I also knew what I brought to the table. And so that's how I priced my services when I first started. My prices have since increased, but what I will share with you, Sally, is during COVID, we did not increase prices for 3 years.
Wow.
Because we wanted to be able to serve our community. So we kept our prices stable, and we were doing a lot of pro bono work, which I felt was important because
Yeah,
there were businesses
yeah.
that were just trying to survive, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I like that. I have another question about what you bring to the table, but I want to go back to what you talked about having that reserve because I think people don't realize that you have to have that reserve and you have to have, because when I quit, I did have that reserve and I made sure, so am I covered for 6 months or a year? I had to
Yes.
look at that,
Yes.
what I could do to survive that. And if I don't make the money, then what? So I think it's so important to reiterate that if you're planning to do this, save up for it. But I love what you said, make it a side hustle. Make it a side hustle. So, and knowing what you bring to the table, I think that's the most important part because when I started, I didn't really know. I knew what I knew, but I didn't, like yours is very clear cut and process driven and process oriented. When it comes to coaching, you got to hone in and find your target audience and find your niche. So I had to figure that out. Like, what am I bringing to the table? So I'll tell you, I charge people like $50 an hour at first.
Okay.
Because I didn't know what I brought to the table.
Right.
And two,
Right.
I was trying to figure out, does this work? And after I did it for a while, and I didn't even think I was worthy of charging them that at first. Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me.
Right? It does happen, right?
Yes.
And now when I figure it out, I'm like, I charge like 10 or 20 times more than that now. But when you realize your worth, and one of the things I've learned, and I want you to talk about this, building your confidence over the years have also helped you to increase your price because you know what your worth is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when and increasing your pricing is very tricky also, right?
Yeah.
Because what comes with that is I don't want to lose my clients, right? I don't want to lose potential new clients coming on board. And so I think a lot of it is how you position that, especially with your existing customer base. How's that being communicated? So, I'll use your example, Sally. When you first started, you were $50 an hour, right? How are you communicating that? It could be, this is my hourly rate right now, and whether it's going to change next year, you're setting the expectations so that when that client relationship grows, they don't expect to pay $50 in infinity, right? And so it's this balancing act of charging your worth, charging your value, what you bring to the table. I think what many times businesses, especially women, when they're a service-based business, is they always start with pricing. And you never want to do that.
Right.
Start with the benefits, right? Start with the why. Here's why you should do business with us.
Yeah.
Here's what we bring to the table, because you've got tangible and you've got intangible.
Right.
So
I think that's such a great point. And I like what you said about when you are charging, you set the expectation. One of the words I learned really early in business is this is discounted rate.
No.
So just know it's not forever. But yeah, I do. And how you position yourself, like that is so important, how you position yourself. And that just resonated with me is your why and what you bring to the table as opposed to your cost. Because when somebody sees your value and what you bring to the table, the cost won't matter to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They'll pay for it.
Yeah. And I also feel when you set your costs that to reflect your value, you attract the right clients.
Yes.
And you can't be afraid of that.
Can't be afraid of that. But that brings up another point that not every client is going to be the right client.
That's right.
Right? And I think especially when you're starting a business, people are just they're very excited just to get a client on board, right? And that's normal.
Right.
But at the same time, you want to make sure that you're identifying the right clients. So when you're first starting off, that's okay because you're in this learning phase, right?
Yeah.
And you may not even realize they're not the right client until you've been working with them for a few months. And then you realize they're not the right one.
client. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'm in a phase now where okay to say no.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah. And you only get to that phase when you realize what you bring to the table.
Yes.
Yeah. How long did it take you to get to that phase?
I would say this is still a work in progress, but I've come a long way, to be honest with you, because I'm a people pleaser.
Yeah.
And I take on things and projects, including pro bono stuff, that really I should not be taking on.
Yeah.
But that's just my nature. I want to help everyone. Yeah. Newsflash, you can't help everyone.
And build your business.
So that's right. So no is much easier. And the same on the opposite side. If you're proposing your services and you have someone that says, no, not interested, how do you perceive that? A lot of times, especially as women, we take that as rejection, right? Remember this, and I just heard this again yesterday. Rejection is protection.
That's right.
So just because someone is telling you no, it could be a good thing.
That's right.
And when you say no, think new opportunity.
Yes.
So
it frees up the time for the new opportunity.
That's right.
And that's where I'm at. And it took me 3 years to get there, where I'm thinking my mindset is I can say no to this right now because I'm renegotiating some contracts, and I'm like, I can say no because what it frees me up to do is to go out there and pound the concrete and get what I want and get my values.
Yes.
So it does take a minute to get there, though. So we want to encourage people, if you'll get there, but you got to work at it, and you got to be willing to step out of your comfort zone to say no and really know your worth and understand what you bring to the table.
No question. And I'm glad you brought that up, because mindset plays an important role with that, right? And it does take practice.
Yeah, totally. Mindset. Talking about mindset, it's a good segue, because it is getting out of corporate America where someone's paying you and they're telling you, they own you, basically, right? You do what they tell you to do, and you work the hours they want you to work. And coming into your own business, and now you have your own hours and you have your own things. And it takes a lot of discipline for business owners, because I was on a call yesterday and we were talking about this, a bunch of business owners, like, for the longest while, I was still stuck in an employee mindset. How did you get out of that employee mindset? Because we get stuck, like, dreading Sunday, whereas we don't even have to work on Monday, right?
You don't have to, but you should.
Yeah. But how did you get out of your mindset when it came to that? And you flip it like, man, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a business owner, I can manage my time the way I see fit.
So a couple things. Number one, if you're a solopreneur, I started as a solopreneur.
Yeah.
You are wearing all the hats. All the hats. And so, yes, in many cases, you are the employee because you are it, right?
Yeah.
And so for me in my business, what started it was coming to the realization that I can't do it all by myself. And so started with independent contractors, helping to support with that service, right? And it would be, you're a CEO, you're not an employee, right? And I was group coaching yesterday, and it was a group of CEOs, and I remember asking the question, whenever you're in your business, ask yourself, are you an employee or are you the CEO? Are you the leader or are you just, right? And that's a quick realization, like, I'm operating like a CEO. And that's where we get to, are you working in your business, employee, or are you working on your business,
Ooh,
CEO?
So good. Say that again.
So if you are working in your business, that's the employee mindset.
Yeah.
If you're working on your business, that's your CEO mindset.
Wow. Can you give us an example of each in your business and on your business?
So I'm going to start with working on your business.
Yeah.
Working on your business is you're going and you're taking professional development courses, right? You're doing things to improve you as a leader, you as a CEO, right? It even could be networking, right? Building connections, relationships. Working in your business, you are in the weeds, right? So you're like shuffling paper, you're checking emails. The day's over. What have you done?
Yeah.
And you're so busy in the weeds of it. And I call it the turtle mentality because the turtles are close to the ground. So all they can see is what's in front of them.
Right.
And then you have the giraffe mentality. So you're overlooking the landscape, you're overlooking what's going on in the business. So your vantage point and your perspective is different.
Yes. Wow. I love those analogies. I'm going to be using them. So I ask you to say that, to repeat and say that because I'm like, what am I doing? Am I a giraffe or a turtle? I realize I have become, over the past 2 years, I evolved over the past 2 years as a giraffe because I hired an assistant.
Yes.
And I heard the term, the $10 task versus the $1,000 task. So as the CEO, you focus on the $1,000 task, and then you outsource the $10 task.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I slowly learned, and in my former life, I used to be a super executive assistant. So I'm really good at organizing and managing. So it's easy for me to manage my calendar and my emails, but it takes time.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you mentioned calendar because time management
Yeah.
is a task all by itself.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I do is I color code my calendar.
Yeah.
And so, for example, if it's a revenue generating activity, it is green.
Mine is too.
Green is
Mine too.
money.
Green is money. That's right. That's how I look at it.
And so I put it in these different color codes that I know what that means, right? But what it also does is I can look at it at a snapshot and go, okay, you spent all day doing $10 task. Why?
Yes.
When you have someone that can help you with that.
Yes.
And outsourcing, yes. If you can outsource it and get it off your plate so that you can focus on those other things, do it.
Yeah. And when we say outsourcing, for anybody listen to this, they might be thinking it's like a lot of dollars. It's not. Outsourcing doesn't cost a lot. You can be very creative with it. And I outsource about 15 hours a month, and it has changed my life.
It's a game changer.
It's a game changer with my social media, my calendar, all the admin tasks. And it's so nice that I don't have to focus on it. You just have to find the right person.
That's a whole nother topic. But you know what? You're so right, Sally, because outsourcing can be a virtual assistant, you know, or a VA, same thing. Your bookkeeping, right? If you've got money that is coming into your business and you are having expenses of things that you're paying out, you need to track that money. Where is that money going? So outsourcing your bookkeeping, if you're not a bookkeeper, if you're not an accountant.
Yes. And those are times suck because if I'm not a bookkeeper or an accountant, so it stresses me out.
Yes.
And it takes longer than it would have somebody who knows what they're doing, and it would take them 2 seconds to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, so definitely. The other thing I tell people to do, you need to think about what is your highest rate that you charge. And if it's $500 an hour, you start looking at your time from that perspective. So if I'm spending 1 hour on my calendar, that's $500 that I could have been charging a client.
That's right.
So when you start equating your time to dollars, it really opens your eyes to see, oh my gosh, I got to spend my time more wisely to bring in people and clients as opposed to managing my calendar.
So true, Sally. If I can comment on that, because what we hear a lot, especially when it comes to like marketing or outsourcing, I don't have the money to do that. Okay, I'm just going to look at the camera right now. Are you going to Starbucks on a daily basis and going through the drive-thru, right? All of that adds up.
That's right.
You don't know how much you're spending until the end of the month. And just imagine if you cut that in half, you can get some support help for your business. Like you said, 15 hours a month. it can be an hour or 2 hours a week, right?
Yeah.
So,
Good point, Monica, because I will tell you now, the small drink at Starbucks is $8. So definitely get a Keurig or something.
yes, yes. Nothing's wrong with that. Nothing's wrong with that.
I bought an espresso, and when I calculated how much lattes I drink at home in the 4 years, it was $7,000 that I saved.
You see what I mean?
$7,000.
Yes.
That's higher than assistant right
Yes.
there. So you got to get out of the employee mindset. And when you get into a business owner mindset, you're starting to think about those little things and where your money go.
That's right.
Yeah. Monica, if you're like me, and it sounds like you're a lot like me, every minute of the day for the 24 hours that I have, I book it on my calendar, regardless if it's taking a nap. Do you do that, and how has it helped you?
I do block off time. I'm a big believer in time blocking on your calendar. This can be anything from travel time to, and I start my morning this way, where I block time on my calendar and it says business building.
Yeah.
And that can be anything from reading an article, listening to a webinar, right? Or just meditation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So nap time, I don't have time for naps during the day. I save that for Sundays. But yeah, I'm a true believer in that. Otherwise, you're going to keep going and you're going to get burnt out. Right?
Yeah.
So you have to take the time for yourself. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And when you block out your calendar half hour by half hour, you see where your time goes to and what sucks up your time, including TV time. I put everything on there. So unless I read that 1 hour in the evening, I'm not touching that TV. Well, not every day, but some days.
But you know, that's so important. You have to block off the me time, especially as women, right?
Yeah.
If you've got kids, if you've got other responsibilities, that self-care really comes into play.
Yeah. Talking about self-care, that's a good segue, because one of the things we don't do sometimes as business owner, because we work from home, we're sitting down there working, we don't unplug and step away like we should. Are you doing it? And how did you flip your mindset? Like, I got to shut down because we can work. Work is never done, because if you're educating yourself or whatever it is, it's never done. So what do you do? What are some of the things you do?
I love to travel. And so I pre-plan my travel.
Yeah.
And I put that on my calendar. And so that's something that I have to look forward to. Now, does my laptop come with me when I'm traveling? Yes. I cannot travel.
Transparent. Yeah.
But with that being said, I set boundaries for myself, and I say, okay, you're going to check emails in the morning, and then you're going to check it after a certain time.
Yeah.
It's not I'm in front. So the travel time gives me my fun time, my personal time, family time, but then I'm also setting aside time to just focus on business.
Yeah.
But I have a support that can help with that as well.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. When you make that clear delineation from 2 to 3, I'm going to check email and that's it. It makes a difference, because it's not in the back of your head. You're feeling guilty.
Exactly.
You're like, I put that in my vacation time.
Yes.
Yeah, my husband does that too. And we go, he'll say, okay, from 2 to 3, we're taking a nap from 12 to 1, from 2 to 3, we're checking emails, and then we're on the go to the beach or whatever we need to do. But it's for our own sanity.
Right.
Yeah, that's really great, and it's good setting good boundaries. So what do you do to recharge for self-care aside from vacation? Like every day in the morning, what's your, I don't compromise on this?
Other than my business building, I would say a 5-minute, and I know that doesn't sound like a lot of time, but that's how I start. So it's a 5-minute meditation. Meditation for me means I'm listening to relaxing music. I'm just smelling my essential oils, right? I'm getting ready for the day. Once that 5 minutes is over, that music changes. So I've got music playing that will like pump me up for the day, get my energy flowing, get the blood flowing. Monica should be going to the gym. I'm not going to the gym. That's for my New Year, again, my same New Year's resolutions that I've had for the last few years. But that's what I do, And so it kind of gets me in that mindset.
Yeah.
To like, okay, new day, let's go.
Yeah. Monica, I love that, and I love your transparency. Like, Monica should go to the gym, but but you're still doing your 5 minutes. And I love that, because I want to contrast that you do your 5 minutes, and that's totally okay that you took that time for yourself. Like, for me, I'm up at 6. And between 6 and 9 is my time. So I work out. I have a home gym. I'm working out at 6, from 6 to 7:30, and then breakfast, and then my education time.
Yes.
And I don't really get on my phone unless there's a fire or someone's dying. I'll get on the phone, but I can see those texts come in.
Yes.
But you're not hearing from. If you hear from me, you're really, really, really special. But 9 o'clock, when I get to my desk, that's when I'm all in, the day starts. And I have to tell you that if I don't do that, my day doesn't go as well as I'd like to. Do you find if you miss your 5 minute, you're just jumping into your day? Yeah. Why do you think that is?
Because we're always on the go.
That's right.
We're always running. This is always operating, right? And so while we may feel like we have the capacity to do more, there's going to come a time where it's going to be shut down. Like, I can't do, and I've had those days where I'm done for the day and it's like noon on Friday.
Yeah.
It's not often, but myself is telling myself, you got to shut it down and you got to recharge, right? Because that's where we get into calling people by the wrong name, which, by the way, that's happened a few times. Or, forgetting an appointment, even though it's on your calendar.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when you know it's me time.
Wow. I heard this analogy, the brain is like a sponge, right? And it's and when we give, we're squeezing and squeezing and squeezing.
Yes.
And then the brain can't work anymore. That's when the mistakes start to happen. And we've got to go back and expand that sponge by saying, I'm done. I can't do this anymore.
It's so true, Sally. And we live in a world where there's a lot of noise, a lot of distractions, and that takes up our brain space as well, whether we feel they are or not, it does.
Yeah.
And so being able to get away from that and doing things that will get you in a better space, a better place, it's really important for our well-being.
Totally. I just love this conversation so much. I feel like I can talk to you all day long. But this is why I don't script it. I like it to go where it goes. But is there anything you want to talk about that I didn't ask you?
I would just say that entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart, right? Yeah. And there are a lot of people that are in business for themselves, and they are it, right? Yeah. Especially women. 85% of women are solopreneurs. They're in business all by themselves. So my closing thoughts is get a support system, right? Get a mentor. There are a lot of free resources out there available to you. We offer services. Our services are paid for. But know that there are people out there that are there to support you, that want you to succeed.
Yeah.
And be sure that you surround yourself with those positive people.
Yeah, yeah, I like that a lot. And I like they are like SCORE Nevada. There's so many resources out there. You just got to talk to the right people and get those resources. But this was really, really good. Monica, I really appreciate you coming in and sharing your heart and just sharing what you do. And with that, I love what Monica said. Community would be one of the most important thing that you will do as a business owner, especially being a solo entrepreneur. It's just hard being siloed and by yourself. So get that support that you need. And with that, friends, it's a wrap. Thank you for tuning in to the Sally Allen podcast, where we give voice to stories of resilience. Until next time, this is Sally Allen. Remember that every setback is a setup for a comeback. And remember, if you like this podcast, the only way we can get it out is if you like, subscribe, and share.